Hello everyone, welcome to your Daily Dose for today. Last week on one of the Daily Dose I talked about the passage in Matthew, the last chapter. And at the end of that, and we talked about the Great Commandment, the Great Commission. At the end of the Great Commission, there's this phrase, and a lot of times in different verses, when we think the real point of emphasis is like at the beginning of the verse or the middle of the verse or the things that we know, we kind of forget about the rest of the verse. And maybe there's some really important understandings for us there. And I think that's the case here for the Great Commission. It says, therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them. And at the very end, there's just kind of this phrase. And he says, and I am with you always, and to the very end. And that's said different ways in the scripture. Sometimes I'll never leave you or forsake you, Deuteronomy, other places in the New Testament. And when you look at that, it's a promise that God has given us. It's a commitment that he makes to us. And a God promise is different than kind of our promise. We make promises all the time. If you thought hard enough, you could probably think of a promise that you've made over recent days or weeks that you didn't follow through on, or you didn't complete it to the degree that you wanted to. We make big promises and small promises. We tell our kids, I promise, that I'll have this snack for you when you get home from school. Or we may tell our spouse that I promise to have this done at the house. We have a couple of things that need to be done in our house, from painting to repairs. And I'm not sure I've ever said the word promise, but I certainly have left the understanding that, hey, I'll take care of that. I'll get it done. And we make big promises when we're married. The vows that we share in our marriage, that's a promise that I'm with you regardless of what happens and what comes into our lives. Whether it's the good times, obviously, those are easy to share together, but also the bad times, whether we're well or whether we're sick, whether we're rich or whether we're poor. I mean, we make these promises all the time, and this is a promise that God is making to us, and it's a really profound understanding, because what he says there is, listen, I want you to do all these things, but if we go through them, we've fallen short or failed or haven't met even our own expectations, much less God's expectation on all of those. Have we made this? Do we go? Well, no, a lot of times we don't. We kind of get stuck where we are. And I'm not talking around the world, man. I'm talking across the street. I'm talking in the grocery line. I'm talking to our friends that we know really well, that we spend time with. And this go idea is that, are we extending the love of God through our lives? Are we making disciples? Are we investing in the lives of people, new believers, new followers of Jesus, or just our friends and our companions that we share our faith with? Are we encouraging or spurring one another on? Well, I sense that we probably all think, well, I don't do that to the level that I wish I would, or I think that God would desire me to do. And he says to do all these things, teaching them and to obey everything I've commanded you. I mean, that's, honestly, we have a hard time teaching and keeping the commandments that Jesus has given us, much less, sharing those and giving that understanding to somebody else. And in the midst of all of that, what he says is, knowing that you're going to fall short, knowing that you're not going to meet your expectations, I'm here and I'm with you. I don't know about you, but in my life, that is probably brings me the most profound comfort that I experience, to know that in the moments when I'm not at my best, when the moments when whatever version of Mark is present, it's not the best version of Mark, that there are people that I know, and there are people that know me, that I know that are going to be there for the long haul. And what that allows you to do, what it allows us to do here, God's saying, listen, I'm here. I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to forsake you. In the difficult times, I'm going to be there. And some of those difficult times, I'm going to lift you out. Others in those difficult times, I'm just going to be right there next to you. There's a passage in the Old Testament in Psalms that says, the nearness of God is to our good. And I love that, the idea that, okay, in those times, God is near. When he says, I'll never leave you, forsake you, or I'll be with you even to the end of the age, in those moments I'm there. You may be going through some of that time. And our tendency, for whatever reason, when we hit those bumps, when we hit those difficult times, when we walk through times of loss, and every day you hear numbers. I just got a text this morning of somebody else that I know, another friend of mine, and person who's attached to our church has lost their parents to coronavirus, their parent to coronavirus. And so in the midst of that, God's saying, I'm there. That's my promise to you, is I won't leave. And so when you have those people in your life, you also have God in your life. We often try to pull away from those moments when what we need to do is to draw near. And the reason we can do that is because we know he is there. And so as you walk through these days, understand that God has given us promises in just your regular life that he's never going to leave you. He's never going to abandon you. He's never going to forsake you. And he'll be with us. I love the phrase at the end, even to the end. Whenever the end comes, for you, for me, for all of us, God is going to be there to that point and beyond that point. So be encouraged by the faithfulness of God. Have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.